There comes a moment in every man's life when the walls close in, when the light grows dim, when the sound of applause vanishes and only the deafening silence of self-doubt remains. And in that silence, beneath the crushing weight of defeat, most men give up. But the man chosen for greatness? The man marked by destiny? He doesn't break down, he breaks open. God breaks the man he wants to use, not to punish him, not to shame him, but to reveal him. Because a man who has not been broken is a man who cannot be built. And if you want to rise to greatness, you must be willing to fall into the fire first. The world will tell you to seek comfort, but comfort is the enemy of expansion. You were not born to coast. You were not called to blend in. You were called to build empires, not with bricks, but with beliefs, with vision, with unshakable will. And that kind of man, Napoleon Hill knew, doesn't appear by accident. He's forged, refined, reforged again. Every dreamer who rose from the ashes of obscurity knew this secret. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Edison failed over 10,000 times before the light bulb ever glowed. Lincoln lost more elections than he won before he changed the course of history. Carnegie was born dirt poor, but he mastered his mind before he ever mastered steel. Ford was ridiculed, doubted, dismissed, but he didn't need the world's permission. He gave himself the power. So what makes them different? What makes a man rise while others fall? It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not even intelligence. It's the one divine currency that separates average from unstoppable. Burning desire. Napoleon Hill didn't whisper it. He shouted it from the mountaintop. Desire backed by faith knows no such word as impossible. Let that settle in your bones. Let it breathe through your lungs. Because if you desire greatness but fear the cost, you don't desire it enough. And the cost? Make no mistake, it's steep. You will lose friends. You will be misunderstood. You will walk alone. You will be mocked for your obsession, scorned for your discipline, and tempted to compromise. But you will not fold, because the vision inside you is louder than the doubt around you. The man God wants doesn't crumble when the storm comes. He becomes the storm. He doesn't run from pain. He walks through it like a king returning to his kingdom. Why? Because he knows something the world forgot. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the passage. Every trial sent to destroy you is secretly designed to develop you. Every loss is preparing your hands to carry more. Every delay is strengthening your patience, sharpening your clarity, cleansing your motives. Because the man who is not first stripped of ego, entitlement, and excuses will never wear the crown of purpose. So, if you're suffering, don't curse the heavens. The very fact that you're under pressure means you're being molded. A diamond is nothing but carbon, until it's crushed by time and pressure. Gold is nothing but ore, until it's burned in the fire. And you are nothing but potential, until life breaks you and you choose to rise. Listen to me. This world is filled with men who've built castles made of sand. They chase titles, cars, likes, applause. But none of it means anything. None of it survives the night. Because they never built themselves. They built images. They crafted reputations. But the man God wants, he builds character. He builds soul. He builds legacy. And character is not revealed when you're winning. It's revealed when you're bleeding, when the business fails, when the relationship ends, when the plan collapses. What do you do then? That's where the real man is born. Napoleon Hill taught that thought is the most powerful force in the universe. But thought alone is nothing without clarity. What do you really want? What burns in you so deeply that you'd rather die than live without it? If you don't know that, if you don't own it with fire and fury, then the world will feed you a script. One built by fear, one shaped by mediocrity, Clarity is power, but clarity only comes in the quiet. And in today's world, silence is a rarity. Every man is drowning in noise, scrolls, screens, opinions, distractions. But the man God wants learns to turn it all off, to retreat, to sit with himself, to hear the still voice of his calling beneath the chaos. That's where vision is born, not in the boardroom, not in the crowd, but in the cave, in solitude, in surrender. Moses had to climb the mountain. Jesus had to face the wilderness. Hill himself had to write, think, and grow rich in a period of darkness so severe he nearly gave up. But he didn't, because he knew the secret. When you are down to nothing, God is often up to something. So if you're in that season now, don't run. Lean in. If the pain is intense, if the uncertainty is unbearable, if you feel like the world has forgotten you, good. That means your rebirth is close. That means the old version of you is being buried so the real you can rise. But be warned, vision without discipline is just a dream. And dreams without work rot into regret. The man God wants is not merely a dreamer, he is a builder. He wakes before the world does. He practices when no one is watching. He sharpens his mind like a blade. He trains his body like a warrior. And most of all, he governs his thoughts like a king. Because what you dwell on, you become. The mind is not your servant, it is your kingdom. And every day, it either builds your throne or digs your grave. The man who wins is not the man who never doubts. He's the man who refuses to let doubt make decisions. So, when the fear comes, and it will, you stare it down. You don't fight it with willpower. You fight it with faith. Faith in the unseen. Faith in the calling. Faith that the invisible bridge will hold your steps, even when the world says, jump, and you'll fall. And here's the twist that breaks most men. The climb is lonely. You won't always get applause. You won't always get results right away. There will be weeks, months, maybe years where it feels like nothing is happening. But don't be fooled. Seeds grow in silence. Roots dig deep in darkness. And the bamboo plant takes 5 years underground before it shoots up 90 feet in 6 weeks. You are that bamboo. You are not behind. You are becoming. So keep going. There will come a moment in every man's life when every door slams shut, when the light dims, when the applause fades, and all that's left is the deafening silence of doubt. And in that silence, under the crushing weight of failure, most men quit. But the man destined for greatness, the one called by fate, he doesn't fall, he ignites. God breaks the man he intends to use. Not to punish, not to humiliate, but to reveal what lies within. Because what has never been broken can never truly be rebuilt. And if you want to rise to the top, you better be prepared to walk through the fire first. The world will tell you to seek comfort, but comfort is the enemy of expansion. You weren't born to drift through life. You weren't called to blend in. You were born to build an empire. Not of brick and stone, but of belief, of vision, of an unshakable will. And that kind of man, Napoleon Hill knew, is not born. He is forged, refined, broken, and then built again. Everyone who ever rose from the ashes of obscurity knew this secret. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Edison failed over 10,000 times before a single bulb lit up. Lincoln lost more elections than he won before he rewrote history. Carnegie was born into poverty, but he mastered his mind before he ever mastered steel. Ford was ridiculed, doubted, dismissed, but he didn't need the world's permission. He gave it to himself. So, what made them different? What separated the risers from the quitters? Not talent, not luck, not intellect. It was something deeper, a sacred currency that divides the average from the unstoppable. a burning desire. Napoleon Hill didn't whisper it. He screamed it from the mountain. Desire backed by faith knows no such word as impossible. Let that sink into your bones. Let it breathe through your lungs. Because if you say you want greatness but fear the cost, you don't want it badly enough. And the cost? Don't doubt it. It's steep. You will lose friends. You will be misunderstood. You will walk alone. You will be mocked for your obsession, judged for your discipline, tempted to compromise. But you will not yield. Because the vision inside you is louder than the doubt outside you. The man God chooses doesn't crumble in the storm. He becomes the storm. He doesn't run from pain. He walks through it like a king returning to his throne. Why? Because he knows what the world has forgotten. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the path. Every trial sent to destroy you is secretly shaping you. Every loss is preparing your hands to carry more. Every delay is refining patience, sharpening clarity, purifying motive. Because a man who has never had his ego stripped, his illusions shattered, his excuses burned, will never be strong enough to wear the crown of his calling. So if you are suffering, do not curse the sky. The pressure you feel is proof that you're being molded. Diamonds are just carbon, until they're crushed by time and pressure. Gold is just ore, until it survives the furnace. And you are just potential, until life breaks you, and you choose to rise. Listen closely. The world is full of men who built castles of sand. They chase titles, cars, likes, applause, but all of it is hollow. All of it fades in the night. Because they never built themselves. They built images. They built reputations. But the man God wants, he builds character. He builds soul. He builds legacy. And character doesn't show up when you're winning. It shows up when you're bleeding. When the business fails. When the love is lost. When the plan falls apart. What will you do then? It is in that moment the real man is born. Napoleon Hill taught that thought is the most powerful force in the universe. But thought alone is nothing without clarity. What do you truly want? What burns in you so deeply, you'd rather die than live without it? If you don't know, if you haven't owned it with every fiber of your soul, the world will hand you a script written in fear, a script soaked in mediocrity. Clarity is power, but clarity comes in silence. And in today's world, silence is rare. Men are drowning in noise, social media, screens, opinions, distractions. But the man God wants knows how to turn it all off. He knows how to retreat, how to sit in stillness, how to hear the whisper of purpose echoing through the chaos. It is there. Vision is born, not in boardrooms, not in crowds, but in caves, in quiet, in surrender. Moses had to climb the mountain. Jesus had to face the desert alone. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Think and grow rich," in a darkness so deep he nearly quit. But he didn't, because he knew a truth. When you have nothing left, God might just be starting something. So if you're in that place, don't run from it. Walk into it. If the pain is loud, if the fog makes you want to scream, if you feel like the world has forgotten you, good, because that means your rebirth is near. That means the old you is being buried, so the real you can rise. But remember, vision without discipline is just a dream. And dreams without action rot into regret. The man of God is not just a dreamer. He is a builder. He rises before the world wakes. He trains when no one is watching. He sharpens his mind like a blade. He builds his body like a warrior. And most of all, he governs his thoughts like a king. Because what you dwell on, you become. The mind is not your servant. It is your kingdom. And every day it's either building your throne or digging your grave. The winner is not the man who never doubts. He is the man who doesn't let doubt decide. So when fear shows up, and it will, you face it. You don't fight it with willpower. You fight it with faith. Faith in what's unseen. Faith in the mission. Faith that the invisible bridge will hold your steps, even when the world says you're going to fall. And here's where most men fail. This path is lonely. There won't always be applause. There won't always be results. It may be weeks, months, even years with no fruit. But don't be deceived. Seeds grow in silence. Roots go deep in darkness. And bamboo takes 5 years to establish itself, before growing 90 feet in 6 weeks. You are the bamboo. You are not behind. You are becoming. So keep going. There is a sacred law written into the bones of this universe. Whatever you are not willing to suffer for, you do not deserve to keep. You want mastery? You want success, greatness, freedom? You better be ready to bleed for it. Because life doesn't hand crowns to the comfortable. It hands them to the relentless. Discipline is not pain. Discipline is power. Every time you say no to weakness, no to distraction, no to excuses, you are casting a vote for your future self. And when those votes stack up day after day, year after year, they do something extraordinary. They create a man who cannot be broken. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Success requires no apologies, and failure permits no alibis." That means you don't get to explain away your laziness. You don't get to blame the market, your past, your parents, or your pain. You don't get to sit in the corner of life waiting for permission. Because while you wait, another man is moving. Another man is waking up early, learning faster, failing forward, breaking through. And one day, he will own the future you prayed for. So make no mistake. Discipline is not a choice. It's a war. And it begins every morning when your eyes open. Do you rise for greatness, or do you sleep for comfort? Do you build your mind before the world pollutes it? Do you own your schedule, or does it own you? Are you reactive, or are you ruthlessly intentional? Because this life will test your consistency. Not just once. Not just when you're inspired. But when you're tired. When you're broke. When nobody's clapping. That's when the voice will come. The voice that says, "Why bother? You're not good enough. It's too late. Who do you think you are?" And in that moment, your decision will echo through eternity. Will you shrink? Or will you speak back? Will you say, "I am not my failures. I am not my fear. I am not my past. I am not their opinion. I am the storm God sent to shift this generation"? That's not just motivation, that's identity. That's a man who's met himself in the fire and refused to back down. And that fire? It's not just to test you, it's to reveal you. Because inside every man is a deeper man waiting to be awakened. A man of steel, a man of spirit. A man who refuses to kneel before fear, failure, or fate. This world is starving for men of backbone. Men who don't flinch when the pressure rises. Men who don't fold when the crowd turns. Men who don't compromise their soul for a paycheck, a title, or applause. Where are the men who live by principle? Who keep their word when it's inconvenient? Who choose sacrifice over shortcuts? Who plant trees they'll never sit under? Where are the men who live for legacy, not likes? If you want to become that man, you must stop chasing and start building. Stop consuming and start creating. Stop comparing and start becoming. Comparison is the enemy of destiny. You weren't called to live their story. You were called to write your own. And every second you spend looking sideways is a second you're not climbing. So fix your eyes forward. Lock into your mountain. Own your lane. Because greatness isn't given. It's earned in private. In lonely gyms, in silent mornings, in small invisible choices. While the world is sleeping, You are sculpting the future. And don't let the delay fool you. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not happening. The universe has perfect timing, and it rewards those who refuse to quit. So how do you stay the course? How do you keep your soul on fire when the results are slow, when your body aches, when the voices get loud? You remember your why, not the surface why, not the shallow stuff, not the cars, the money, the applause. You remember the real reason, the one that brings tears to your eyes when no one's looking, the reason that lives at the center of your chest, the one God whispered into your bones the day you were born. Hold on to that. Fight for that. Build from that. Because storms will come. People will betray you. Doors will slam. But if your why is strong, your steps will not stop. They may tremble, but they won't break. That's how revolutions are built. That's how empires rise. That's how legacies are born. One step, one choice, one uncompromising day at a time. So I ask you, will you rise or will you retreat? Will you fold or will you forge? Will you survive or will you lead? Because in every generation there comes a man who refuses to be forgotten. A man who burns so bright that even history must turn its head. A man who lives not for applause, but for impact. Let that be you. They will not remember the man who quit. They will not write books about the man who played it safe. They will not build statues for the man who blamed, who doubted, who hid from the fire. Number. The world remembers the man who rose. The man who stood back up after life shattered his plans. The man who turned scars into strategy. The man who refused to surrender his vision, even when it cost him everything. That man is forged, not born. He is broken before he is built. He is humbled before he is honored. He is crushed by life, not to be punished, but to be prepared. Because destiny does not choose the convenient. It chooses the committed. It chooses the man who can be trusted with weight, the man who can carry nations in his chest, battles in his bones, and still kneel to serve. The man who doesn't just want power, but purpose. That man is you, but only if you are willing to die to the boy you were. The boy who feared rejection. The boy who needed validation. The boy who waited for signs, for permission, for applause. Kill him, and resurrect the man who does not wait. The man who decides. The man who speaks with fire and walks with thunder. The man whose silence commands respect because it's carved from vision, pain, and principle. You don't need another course. You don't need more time. You don't need their approval. You need to start. Where you are. With what you have. Right now. Your future is not on the horizon. It's in the mirror. And the only thing standing between who you are and who you could be is your decision. So decide. Decide that this is the year you stop playing small. Decide that your legacy matters more than your excuses. Decide that your discipline will speak louder than your emotions. Because the clock does not care how you feel. The world does not wait for your confidence to arrive. And greatness does not knock. It breaks down the door of the man bold enough to answer. Napoleon Hill once said, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. But that seed does nothing unless it is planted, watered, and fought for. So plant it, water it with blood, sweat, and faith, and fight for it, even when it's dark, even when it's slow, even when no one claps. Because one day the world will see the tree you built. They will marvel at its strength. They will ask how you did it. And you will smile, not with pride, but with truth. You will say, God broke me to build me. He stripped me to strengthen me. He buried me to grow me. And now I rise, not as who I was, but as who I was always meant to be. And the fire inside you, the one they tried to extinguish, will light the path for millions. That is the man the world is waiting for. That is the man God breaks to lead. So rise and be him.